Welcome all to today's documentary. My name is Javan Sami. The state of the world is depleting. Some people are simply getting by, while others are stressed, depressed, and anxious as to how they would continue living comfortably. Trinidad and Tobago is experiencing closed borders, limited foreign exchange, and loss of jobs. How can persons who are in a state of despair before the pandemic, as well as those falling into despair during the pandemic, find a way to move forward successfully? Well, they say, give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. The following documentary is geared towards creating an affordable solution where individuals can get the imported food they are accustomed using. It encourages persons, young and old, to use their skills and knowledge of gardening to create a safe and successful home garden system, where they can have a steady production of crops that are normally imported. My colleagues Varun Rajkumar, Alec Mohan, Ricardo Suchit, Nicholas Rampasad, Michael Murray, Stephen Ramsaran, and Xavier Francis will be discussing in more details the following 8 aspects: relevant information regarding the food importation bill in Trinidad, the design and construction of the AGRO-TIRES system, primary and secondary data collection methods, explanation of what is the AGRO-TIRE home garden system, plant selections, home garden maintenance, nutrients required for successful plant growth, and neighborhood AGRO-TIRE finished products. I'll now introduce you to Varun Rajkumar, who will explain relevant information regarding the food importation bill in Trinidad.
Thank you, Javan, for the introduction. I will now be going through details of the food importation bill. According to the Central Statistical Office, or the CSO, for 2021, food imports were given an estimated value of approximately $5.67 billion in the year of 2019, creating a drastic change in foreign exchange. Of that estimated value, $1.1 billion was spent on the importation of cereals, fruits, and vegetables. $180 million was spent on the importation of breads, biscuits, and pastries. And $28 million was spent on the importation of raw dough and mixes. A research conducted disclosed that the government will be prioritizing the availability of foreign exchange for the importation of foods, medicines, and manufacturing inputs. Further research conducted for the year of 2020 showed that over $2 billion was spent on the importation of cereals and vegetables alone that year. The government introduced a $500 million stimulus in the last budget, aiming to encourage the supply of locally produced goods, which would ultimately reduce the food importation bill of Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you for your time and your attention. I will now hand you over to my colleague Alex, who will walk you through the methodology. Thank you for your time. Over to Alex.
Hello, good day. I am Alec Mohan of the Process Chemical Engineering Department. I'm here to discuss the methodology produced by my group for the development of our GrowBox assignment. The two methods I'm here to talk about are the primary research method as well as the secondary research method. With respect to the primary research method, we source our information via questionnaires and telephone interviews. The questionnaire will be distributed to approximately 30 people in order to gain the community's feedback regarding the situation. This was to ensure that we gain an in-depth understanding as well as to learn knowledge and opinions of the current situation. A variety of effective materials, disadvantages and advantages of design and planting procedures were obtained gracefully to initiate this project. With respect to the secondary research method, databases such as EBSCOhost, EBSCO Discovery Services, Google Scholar, YouTube video searches and newspaper articles were utilized in our data collection. With the data collected, we discovered enough information to acquire information on designs, feasibility and the practicality of the proposed solution. And now, I would like to introduce you to my colleague, Ricardo Suchet, who would be talking about home gardening. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Hi guys, my name is Ricardo Suchet, and today I'd like to talk to you about home gardening. What is a home garden? Home garden can be defined as a farming system which combines different physical, social and economic functions on the area of land around the family home. It is a place for people to live in, but also produce a variety of food and other things for both home use and income. In addition to providing nutritious veggies and fruits, gardening offers a variety of health benefits. Some of those benefits are: 1. Vitamin D. Vitamin D increases your calcium level, which benefits your bone and immune system. 2. Exercise. Gardening is a great form of exercise. You might be so engrossed in your own work that you won't realize that you're breaking a sweat. 3. Mood boosting benefits. A study in the Netherlands, cited by CNN, suggested that gardening fights stress even better than your own hobby. Gardening is good for the whole family. It can be a solo activity or an opportunity for bonding with your friends and family. Also, gardening has special benefits for kids. Early exposure to dirt has been linked to numerous health benefits, from reducing allergies to autoimmune diseases. Among the benefits of gardening for students and kids, the University of Vermont note that those who grow their own food tend to eat more fresh produce. Having a hand in the production of fruits and vegetables increases the likelihood that their kids will experiment new foods. Apart from those benefits, having a home garden can save you money and time. For example, you won't have to visit the farmer's market as often as you used to, depending on the type of crop you grow. Having a home garden doesn't require you to have much space. There are so many different types of design used for home gardening. For example, you can use buckets, PVC pipes, wooden trucks, concrete blocks, barrels, or even bamboo plants. Having a home garden does cost money on seeds and supplies, such as fertilizers. But a single plant often produces a lot of produce, so that you often save on money by growing your own. Now that COVID is here, having a home garden can prevent you from unnecessary exposure to the virus. So as you can see, it's not a bad idea. So I believe it's a great investment, and I would like to encourage you to start your own home garden. As you can see, this is just one of so many designs used for home gardening. I would like to introduce you to my colleague Nicholas Lampasad. He will be talking on the crops used and why we use it. Thank you.
Hi, good day everyone, my name is Nicholas Lampasad, and in this video I am going to tell you about the crops which we have used in our global design and why. The crops which we have used in our global design include iceberg lettuce, romaine lettuce, salad tomatoes, colored sweet peppers, kale, cauliflower, pak choy, and last but not least beetroot. Now you're probably wondering why we have chosen these crops and not cucumbers, or watermelons. To answer your question, we have chosen these crops because these crops are all imported crops, and our project focuses on reducing the importation bill of our country. Another important reason which we have chosen these crops because they all have a very quick harvest time, they do not require deep soil, and grows better when confined to a certain depth of soil. Our grow box design, known as the AGRO-TIRE, implements the use of a 17-inch tire. Now we have decided to go into 17-inch tire or a tire in general because of three main factors, which includes the warmth, the durability, and they are non-biodegradable. The warmth they provide, meaning that these tires accumulate heat from the sunlight, radiates this heat to the plant in order to keep them warmer, especially during colder climates. Durability. Now this is an area where I'm sure most of you have your concerns. Keep in mind that the tire is designed to withstand a lot of wear on the road. Therefore, I don't think it would fail that easily or fall apart sitting there in the sun and rain. Of course, if it did, we won't be driving on them. Non-biodegradable. Tires are considered non-biodegradable because they last for a very long period of time without decaying. However, we can use this opportunity to repurpose or reuse this in our grow box design instead of burning or throwing them away in the dump, which can help the environment in a positive way. With this being said, it is a good idea to use tires for a grow box design because they are very easy to get, to access in any tire shop, and they most of the times are given away free. According to recent research that was done, a lot of money has been invested into the importation sector of our country. As you know, we are currently experiencing a pandemic known as the COVID-19. This pandemic has drastically impacted the shipping sector of our country, which means less imported goods are now coming into the country. However, I think a grow box in your backyard, for instance, may be very beneficial in the sense that you can easily access your crops whenever you would like, instead of going to the supermarkets or groceries, which can cut costs and save you a lot of time. It can also give you the exercise which you require on a daily basis. A grow box design can help reduce the importation bill of Trinidad and Tobago by growing these imported crops locally. If you didn't know, growing your local crops are much healthier than imported crops because imported crops are usually coated with chemicals in order to keep them fresh. It can also help you by saving a lot of money from avoiding paying taxes via shipping. To summarize everything, I think a grow box design is a very great idea because it can help benefit the economy of the country in a positive way and also create employment opportunities for others. Employment opportunities for others meaning that others can now take this further and plant these imported products locally, which can help reduce the importation bill of our country. I'd like to thank you for your time, and I'd now like to pass you on to Michael.
Hi, good day. My name is Michael Murray. I'm with the farmer. Our group has chosen to repurpose the tire as our grow box. Today we're going to be touching on the construction of said grow box. We have here our tire. This is a 17-inch tire with a sufficient width and depth to facilitate the roots of the crop. We also have our plank. Our plank, the purpose of the plank is to bolt the tire after it's cut, to bolt the plank, to bolt the tire onto the plank to steady the grow box. We also have our power tools. We have here power drill, jigsaw, a grinder. We also have a specific type disc. This is a cutting disc, metal cutting disc. You need the cutting disc because of the fact that a lot of these tires, there are metal wires interwoven into the rubber itself. So you need a metal cutting disc. We also have other items like gloves, drill bits, our bolts that will be fastening the tire onto the wooden plank, right? We also need your goggles because, as you know, safety is paramount. So now we're going to start to cut the tire. That's the first step, to cut the tire. After the tire is cut, we will then bolt that cut tire onto the plank of wood. Okay, so the first cut we're going to be making, we're going to be cutting the tire all the way through. We're going to be cutting from the inside, all the way along the walls, all the way through, straight through. That's the first cut. The second cut, we're going to be cutting just the walls on either side of the tire. So we're going to be cutting the wall here and the wall on the other side. And similar, we're going to be cutting at 90 degrees here and on the other side as well, and here and on the other side. So we're just going to be leaving about 3 inches on the flat of the tire here. Okay? So those are the cuts. The first cut all the way through, and the other 3 cuts we're going to just be cutting along the walls of the tire, and we're going to be leaving about 3 inches of the flat. We're going to be leaving that so that it doesn't split apart, the tire doesn't come apart. They're all going to be joined. Okay? Okay, it took some time, but we finally was able to complete cutting the tire. It took some time, it's not an easy task, but we got it done. Okay? So as you can see, this is the finished product. This is our box, right? We cut the tire, and now we have 4 equal parts. So now we're going to fasten these 4 equal parts onto the plank of wood. Okay, so we have our cut tire next to our plank. So now we're going to be fastening our tires onto the plank. For that, we're going to be using, to do the fastening, we're going to use the pulling screws. These are the hex head pulling screws. They usually are used for fastening galvanized to the roof. Today we're going to be using these pulling screws to fasten the tires to the wooden plank. Okay, so we're going to be drilling clearance holes in the tire. So usually these screws are 1/4 inch. So we're going to be using a 1/4 inch bit to drill clearance hole into the tires. And once you drill the clearance holes into the tires, the pulling screws will be fastened to the wooden plank using the power drill. So we're going to be using our power drill with a 1/4 inch bit and drilling 4 holes through the tire into the wood. This is clearance for the tire, but it's going to be used as a starter for the pulling screws for the wood. So you're just going to be going straight through the tire and about 1/4 inch into the wood. You're not going all the way through. Okay? So we're going to drill our holes. So now we have our hex head attachment attached to the drill to facilitate the hex head pulling screws. So we're going to be fastening pulling screws all the way through the clearance hole in the tire, straight through the wood. An appropriate length of pulling screws can be about 1 inch, 1.5 inches, and should be sufficient. This here, we have 1.5 inches. Okay, so we've finished fastening our tires to the plank of wood. What we want to do now, we want to drill some drainage holes. The drainage holes, the purpose of the drainage holes is to drain excess water. Excess water in a plant facilitates root rotting. So you don't want that to happen. So you have to drill holes to drain out the excess water that is left after the roots use the amount of water that they would need. Okay, so we're going to drill some holes. We can drill this very same drill bit, the 1/4 inch drill bit that we use for the clearance. We can drill about 4 or 5 holes just around the pulling screw that we use to fasten the tire to the plank of wood. fasten our tires to the plant. So what I'm going to do now, to add some color to the grow box, I'm going to add some paint to the tires. My daughters have been begging me to allow them to paint it, so I'm going to let them paint it to add some originality and some color to the pots. You don't need to go out and purchase any paint. I'm sure everyone has a bit of paint lying around from a past project. You can use that and just paint it to add some color to the grow box. Okay, so we finished the painting. Did as good a job as children could do. So now the last part of it is just to put our topsoil and then transplant the crops. Before I finish, I just want to reinforce the importance of safety when using the power tools. Today we used a few power tools. We used the drill, we used the jigsaw to cut the plank of wood. We also use the grinder. As in using power tools, safety cannot be overemphasized, especially the grinder. It took a great deal just to cut the tire into the pieces. So you want to take as much precaution as possible when handling power tools, any power tools. So if you're inexperienced in using power tools, you want to ask a friend or family who has a bit more experience in utilizing power tools, then do that. It's the safer thing to do. It's advisable because just in cutting the tires with the grinder, I can realize that there's a lot of room for error, and it can be dangerous if you're not experienced in handling power tools. So this is the finished product. Thanks for watching.
Right, what we have here is the Pro Mix, the sharp sand and the manual, and we're going to mix it in this barrel and then fill the base of the tire. Right, now we have the mixture here. We're going to mix it up. And we are going to fill the base of each tire. And this is the base of all tires filled with the soil mixture.
So as you can see, this is my completed grow box. It's coming along fine. This brings me to the end of my contribution. I'd now like to introduce you to my colleague Stephen, and he will touch a bit about the nutrients of the grow box. Thank you.
Plant nutrients are important to the growth and development of plant. So what exactly is a plant nutrient? A plant nutrient is a substance that provides nourishment essential for the maintenance of growth and life of the plant. So plants require nutrients, and it is very important to promote healthy growth and healthy fruits. Now, why do plants need these nutrients? Plant nutrients help the plant to germinate, to grow, to fight off diseases and pests, and it also promotes proper and healthy bearing and root growth for the plant. Now, there are many types of plant nutrients. The most important are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. The nitrogen is important as it promotes healthy green leafy growth. The potassium helps with stem and root growth, and phosphorus is the element that is needed to promote root and flower growth.
Now, apart from the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, there are 3 other elements or nutrients that are important. First being calcium. Calcium is essential as it also helps with root growth. Magnesium. Magnesium gives the green color and it is essential for photosynthesis. So without that, a plant can't bear or grow properly. Sulfur. Sulfur is important as it is needed for the energy processes of the plant. So without that, then the plant would be not growing well. Now, how do plants get these fertilizers? Plants get these fertilizers by the soil. Using the right potting mix could allow for the plant to draw the right nutrients. 2. Another way the plant could get it is through the fertilizers. Fertilizers include foliar, which is spray onto the plant and it would take the essential nutrients, as well as salts. And another way the plant could get the nutrients is through manure or adding biodegradable stuff to the soil, which would help in the development and growth of the plant.
These are just some tips for proper crop management. Step 1 would be prepare and choose the adequate soil in which your plant require so that your plant can be successful and you can harvest whatever crop you may choose. Step 2 would be maintaining the soil by watering it regularly and keeping it moist, because plants need a lot of water in order to grow. Too much fertilizer in plants damages the soil, while too little fertilizer makes the crop deficient in nutrients. Weeds are a major part when planting crops. Weeds feed on the nutrients, thereby inhibiting their growth. So you would have to every 2 days or 3 days go through the plants, take out all your unnecessary weeds so that all the nutrients will be absorbed by the crop itself. The maintaining soil water. In order for a successful crop, these tips are to be followed. Water it regularly. Make sure there are fertilizers and nutrients in the plant. Make sure there's adequate sunlight. All around the plant should be cleaned regularly so that the weeds wouldn't be taking over and absorbing all the nutrients from the crop itself. With all this being said, I would like to conclude this video by thanking my group members for their info that was given, and I would like to say that our grow box was successful. Our materials and plants were easily accessible, and now I would like to share some snippets of our completed grow box and our plants.